I'm going to start with our favorite tweet of the day, which Sarah pointed out to me, from Josh Ellman, tweeting a photo of Twitter's headquarters saying, "Is that a white puff of smoke?" Just like it happens when the Pope gets announced. So everybody excited for some answers today. But Sarah, are we going to hear anything today?
Well, last time we had a critical board meeting when Dick Costolo was out the door. It was announced the week after, so there could be a few days before we hear anything. Everyone.
In that case, though, nobody knew for sure.
In that case, there were not people like us poking around quite as
We're basically
intensely.
like circling Twitter headquarters every day, all day long.
Yes. Well, we'd heard, though, for a while that Dick was on the way out. We just didn't know when. But in this case, you know, the search has been ongoing for 3 months. That's a decent amount of time to get something done. All signs externally point to Jack, but this search has, you know, Spencer Stewart's been calling up candidates. We wrote yesterday that they reached out to Pat Masri-Warrior, formerly at Cisco, and Jim Lanzone of CBS. So they have put calls out. We've yet to see whether that's concluding.
And Colin, you're saying that internally it's certainly looking like Jack is taking on CEO responsibilities as well, right? What are you hearing?
Well, I think internally as well as among shareholders, there's the desire for Twitter to be put in the same profile as Amazon or Google or Facebook, each of which is run by a founder or co-founder, and someone who has a lot of legitimacy to make tough decisions. Clearly, a lot of change needs to take place at Twitter, and Jack Dorsey has those credentials. So perhaps it's wishful thinking, but I do think he's on the short list.
So investors want Jack, but Sinan, I'm assuming Management 101 is that you can only have one full-time CEO job. But look, it's been done before. Steve Jobs did it. He was more than human, though. What do you think about Jack Dorsey's decision here?
You know, I think it will be a tough road to be CEO of both of these companies at the same time, especially as Square prepares for its IPO. I think that, you know, Twitter does need to go through a lot of changes. User growth flagging, stock price flagging, engagement flagging, but I think that there's so much potential in this platform if they focus on their ecosystem, if they focus on tweaking the product to make it more user-friendly, to reveal some of the value in all that data, it could be a huge success. So that points directly at Jack in terms of his skill set and his leadership abilities and his history at Twitter. But there's the chip on the shoulder of having another full-time job, which will make it very, very difficult to concentrate, I think.
Now, Colin, how bullish are you on the future of Twitter, given that user growth has been lagging for some time now? It's not like it's been a recent thing.
Well, we've been pretty cautious, you know, since the IPO and the stock, and I would agree with comments around the value of the data and the real-time information platform, and that's a longer-term perspective. I think where the rubber meets the road is that Twitter has focused or overly focused perhaps on monetization rather than the product. And what we're seeing and what we're hearing is that there is that sense of urgency, as Sarah said. There is now an effort within Twitter to work really hard on the product and the application. And we'll see that through the balance of the year with some new product and application enhancements.
Now, when it comes to Square, you know, Sarah, we've also been doing some reporting around Square, but there isn't any indication he's leaving Square either.
Right, and this is a company where when you're confidentially filed for an IPO, remember Square has not publicly said that they're going to go public. It's a lot harder to make these big executive changes.
Right.
And it's a company that matters very dearly to Jack Dorsey, as does Twitter. He's been splitting his time about evenly between the two. You know, for the IPO, it is a concern.
You know, Sinan, what are your main concerns with, you know, right now Jack Dorsey is doing both of these jobs. That's the reality. As long as this search goes on, does Twitter need to make a decision like now?
I don't think it's necessary that the decision be made today, per se. I think much more importantly than making this decision quickly is making the decision correctly. As a shareholder myself, I would prefer that they wait and get the right person in the right moment with all the right circumstances and constraints than rush to make an announcement to appease the market for some reason. I think that this is a much more long-term business strategy. I think in order for Twitter to succeed, it's going to take a long time frame to implement the changes that are necessary. And I don't think that that's something that a quick fix announcement can solve. It's something that will require months and months of hard work on the product. And I do agree that the product is the key. I think that the potential of Twitter and the current state of Twitter, there's a huge gap between these two things. There are a lot of things that could be done with the product that will take time.
Now, Colin, I do want to point out, when you walked in here, you mentioned nobody saw Marissa Mayer coming when she became CEO of Yahoo. So that's always a possibility that there's this amazing outsider that we just don't know about yet. You know, we've already seen some more restructuring in the product category. Colin, what do you think about these changes? Are we going to see, once this new CEO is announced, are we going to see more shakeups at the top?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, there are good people at the top, no doubt about it, but that urgency that we talked about, that relevancy among users, that needs to be protected and, in fact, enhanced quickly. So I think Dick Costolo, he was sort of on the chopping block for quite some time before the announcement. I think a lot of time has already gone by for them to think about the profile of a CEO they'd like for the longer term. So I'm more in favor of a decision sooner rather than later.
All right. Well,